Every sunrise finds you stepping into a story penned before your first breath, a name whispered into your ear before you could speak, a form molded around your flesh before you knew how to feel. And so, you grew up believing you were a someone, moving through a world of other someones, a subject separate from objects, an observer apart from the observed. We learn this separation as soon as we learn language, you and I, here and there, inside and outside. But what if that basic assumption is the grandest illusion of all? What if the very act of drawing a line between me and not me was the first lie you ever accepted? Across continents and centuries, from the forest hymns of the Upanishads to the silent temples of Zen, from the desert teachings of Sufi mystics to the Hermetic scribes of Alexandria, one secret has echoed. There never were two. This is not an invitation to collect more knowledge or memorize another sacred text. It is a call to question every premise you have ever held, every boundary you have ever drawn. It is an unlearning more than a learning, a dismantling of the prison you call self. Imagine waking each morning not to a world outside but to a field of pure presence. Imagine a mirror not reflecting a separate you, but shining back the infinite ground of being. Imagine the sky inside your chest, the ocean coursing through your blood. What if every path you have walked, every book you have read, every ritual you have practiced was but a roadmap back to the place you never left? The silence that hums beneath your thoughts, the stillness that holds every breath, the space in which every sensation arises. This is your true home. Yet the mind, ever restless, scurries to define, to divide, to construct a self that it can protect and understand. It is a habit older than memory, yet it can be undone in an instant by seeing what was always here. Are you ready to let go of the you that you have believed? To watch the story of separation dissolve like mist in the morning sun? To feel the tremor of awakening as the boundaries between self and world, thinker and thought, observer and observed, simply fall away? This video is not a lesson you'll carry in your pocket. It is an invitation to step off the path of becoming and into the great unknowing from which all paths emerge. Welcome home. From the moment you first open your eyes, you are inducted into the grand school of separation. Black and white, good and evil, pleasure and pain. Every concept demands an opposite in order to exist. This binary dance becomes such second nature that you scarcely notice the bars closing in around your mind. In Vedic lore, this subtle trick of the mind is called Maya, the divine illusion that paints a fence around the boundless. Picture a masterful artist who convinces you the painting is the landscape itself. The canvas and the mountain disappear, only the frame remains. Maya is that frame, convincing you there is you inside and everything else outside. Hermetic wisdom challenges this prison. As above, so below, as within, so without. Not a quaint proverb, but a mental grenade hurled at duality. It reveals that every opposing pair, life and death, body and spirit, joy and sorrow, is merely two poles of the same electric wire. But who designed the wire? Who created the poles? The mind, that tireless architect, forever hungry for contrast. Because the mind needs difference to function, it divides the seamless tapestry of existence into fragments. It labels, judges, categorizes, and in doing so, blindfolds you to the silent unity beneath. You become so enamored with your role as observer that you forget you are also the observed. This self-imposed grain of sand loses itself in the auditorium of experience, unaware that it is itself the stage. Yet even this cage is crafted from thin air. The very act of drawing a boundary implies a boundless field in which that boundary appears. Pull back, and the bars vanish. The prison of two dissolves into infinite openness. When you glimpse that truth, every division melts away, revealing the unbroken wholeness you have always been. You wake each day believing you are a self enclosed in flesh, a singular I behind these eyes. You say, I am joyful or I am burdened, and you mean it with conviction. Yet pause for a moment and ask, who is this I that smiles or weeps? If the sorrow you feel can be observed, then the observer cannot be the sorrow. If you declare, I see a tree, then somewhere between I and tree there must be a gap, but strip away every label, every thought, and what remains? Silence, presence, a single undivided knowing. Advaita Vedanta names this ever-present ground Brahman, the absolute that knows no second. It is not a distant God waiting beyond the stars. It is the silent radiance you already are. Plotinus, in his Enneads, called it the One, ineffable, beyond all attributes, from which everything flows and to which everything returns. Meister Eckhart thundered in medieval Germany, the eye with which I see God is the same eye with which God sees me. He pointed not upward or outward, but inward, into that boundless awareness that transcends I and you. The ego, by contrast, is a fragile construct, an actor so enthralled by its role, it forgets the script was written by life itself. It clings to name, nationality, gender, and history as though they were the sum of your being. Buddhism lays bare this illusion with the doctrine of anatta, no self, not a void, but a revelation. The I you guard is a phantom born of thoughts and sensations. When that phantom vanishes, what remains is not emptiness, but open sky, clear, vast, and luminous. Nisargadatta Maharaj whispered this morning, you are not a thing, you are the space in which things happen. Try to hold yourself as an object, and you'll slip through your own fingers like mist. But rest as the space, no edges, no faces, and every storm of emotion, every passing thought, flows effortlessly through you without disturbing your essence. This is the dream of self, the belief in separation. And yet it is the very dream that, once seen, dissolves in its own light, revealing the seamless unity that has always been your true nature. Before the first sound blossoms into speech, there is a silence deep as starlight, a pregnant, hushed void in which thought has not yet taken form, where mind and world merge in seamless presence. Yet as soon as a word is uttered, reality fractures into speaker and spoken, subject and object, an illusion stitched by language itself. Laozi declared, the name that can be named is not the eternal name. Language is a lantern showing the path, not the path itself. Every syllable carves reality into pieces, a doer here, a deed there, leaving behind the solvent of unity. Words point like arrows, yet the treasure lies beyond their flight. The Tibetan Dzogchen masters call this silent ground Rigpa, naked awareness that is not an object to be observed, but the very act of observing. It is the eye that sees without, a boundary, the moon that illumines its own reflection. No mirror, no distance. Awareness and phenomena arise together in every flicker of existence. Consider a violin poised before the first note. The silence held between bow and string is the instrument's true song, an unstruck chord that vibrates in all music and returns when the final echo fades. That stillness underpins the melody, invisible yet essential to every resonance. Sufi dervishes spin in whirling devotion not as performers, but as dance incarnate, the dancer dissolving into divine rotation. Zen monks sweep the courtyard, discarding not dust but the notion I sweep. In each mindful gesture performed from the silent wellspring, the veil between actor and action is rent, revealing unity. In the Gospel of John we hear, in the beginning was the Word, yet even the Word arises from the unspoken, from the deep void of the Logos, the primordial vibration echoing through cosmos. Before that vibration lies the dark womb of silence, the unmanifest seed of all becoming. To rest in the breath before the word is to touch your own unconditioned essence. It is to drink from the well of being where form and formless meet. Here lies the unstruck chord, the silent heartbeat of existence, the spacious void where every duality dissolves. This is the doorway to non-duality, where every division collapses and you abide as pure being itself. Every morning, you meet a face in the mirror and think, "This is me." Yet that image is a reflection of sunlight, skin and muscle, painted by memory and conditioned beliefs. The name you answer to was whispered before you knew how to think. The story you defend, every pilgrimage, every mantra softly intoned in candlelight, every hermit's solitary footstep on a mountain trail, all were never about reaching some distant shore. They were invitations to turn homeward, to rediscover the center that has never moved. Rumi captured this with startling clarity. You wandered through thousands of paths, but forgot to look within. In Sufism, this realization is called fana, the ecstatic dissolution of the self into the ocean of divine presence. The mystic does not climb toward God. The mystic becomes the wave merging back into the sea. In Hermetic writings, it is termed the return to the One. Yet this one is no far-flung deity, but the silent witness abiding in your every breath. Christian mystics like Julian of Norwich whispered of a ground of being beneath all change, a still point that holds every turning season. Meister Eckhart insisted that we need not seek God abroad, for the ground of our soul is God. Likewise, the Zen koan points not north or east, but directly at your own beating heart. What is your original face before you were born? No teaching remains once you awaken. The finger pointing to the moon vanishes, leaving only the moon itself. There is no treasure to unearth, only the treasure you already are. You fall as a leaf from the tree, only to realize you were never. Apart from the tree, you dissolve as a drop in the ocean, only to know you were never separate from the ocean. To live the great return is to breathe as remembrance. Each inhale a greeting, each exhale a release. In every moment, washing dishes, sharing laughter, wiping a tear, you are both journey and destination, seeker and home. The circle closes not as an end, but as the eternal unfolding of the One, here and now. Silence is not the absence of sound, but the ever-present ground that holds every vibration, every utterance, every universe in being. It is the canvas, invisible, yet necessary for colors to shine, for music to breathe, for thoughts to arise. What can language proclaim once it dissolves into this formless well? Enough words cannot contain the unspoken, and every explanation arrives too late, like a boat docking after dusk. Sit in stillness now, feel the breath alight on the shore before the tide of thought returns. Notice how each inhalation meets the silence of space before form, each exhalation releasing the need to know. When fear trembles in your chest, ask, who feels? When desire stirs within your heart, ask, who desires? The answer dissolves in the silent pause, revealing that the questioner and the questioned are one undivided field. Even the cosmos hums in hushed whispers. Stars are born and die in the void that welcomes their spark. The galaxies dance across an unbroken tapestry of night, each flicker a breath of silence manifesting as light. In this sacred hush lies the secret of non-duality. The two never were two. They are the dwelling place for every contrast, the ground for duality's rise and fall. Abide here. Let speech rest on your tongue. Let thought collapse into awareness. This is the greatest gift. To live as the silent source from which all reality flows. Here, in this silent embrace, every moment becomes an awakening, a return to the undivided heart of being. This truth is not confined to cloistered temples or silent caves. It pulses in the rhythm of your ordinary life. Every breath, every step, every gesture can become a portal to unity. When you wake, feel the sheet against your skin as a tender reminder of presence. When you brush your teeth, notice the dance of water and foam, the intimacy of touch and sensation. In Advaita, they say the universe is not out there waiting for you. It is expressing itself through you in every cell. So let your mundane tasks be expressions of the sacred. Washing dishes becomes an act of devotional service, each plate a universe surrendered to the flow of water. The sink is your altar, the sponge your mantra, the rising steam your silent hymn. When you walk down the street, watch without labeling. Feel the ground beneath your feet as the same ground that holds the mountains. Hear the voices of passers-by not as chatter, but as the one song of existence singing through myriad lips. In that moment, the boundary between you and city blurs, and all becomes a single stream of life. In Zen practice, they call this Ichigo Ichi, one time, one meeting, the fleeting magic of this exact moment. There is no later or before, only this breath, this heartbeat, this footfall. Let your conversations be free of agenda. Speak from the heart that knows no separation. Listen with ears that recognize themselves in every word. Even pain and frustration can become teachers. When irritation rises, pause and ask, who is irritated? The question dissolves the sense of I clinging to discomfort. What remains is spacious compassion, an open embrace of life's ebb and flow. Let your work, your rest, your laughter, your tears all be woven from the same cloth of awareness. There is no sacred moment distinct from the everyday. Every instant is the doorway back to the whole. In the tapestry of your life, every thread, mundane or sublime, reveals the unbroken unity that sustains all. Listen closely, for this is no thunderous decree but a quiet breath brushing your ear, a whispered invitation to remember what you have always known. It comes not from words, but from the spaces between them, from the stillness that underlies every beat of the heart. This video is not a teaching to be studied. It is a mirror to be gazed into until you catch the glint of your own essence. When you feel a stirring in these lines, know it is not the author speaking, but that which cannot be spoken, the ground of your being. Share it not to convert, but to awaken, not to debate, but to remind. The whisper travels only to ears already, primed by longing, and in that recognition lies liberation. As Rumi wrote, raise your words, not voice. It is rain that grows flowers, not thunder. In each pause between sentences, you can hear your own name unspoken, the name beyond language, beyond identity. Lean into that pause. Feel how it expands beneath thought, how it holds every question and answer in the same silent embrace. If fear arises, let this whisper greet it. You are safe here. If doubt creeps in, let it remind you, there is nothing to find. If yearning quickens, let it soothe you. You are already home. This is the whispered invitation to step off the map of concepts and rest in the territory of pure presence. To stop seeking the light and realize you are the light. To cease the search for love and awaken as love itself. Listen deeply, remember, and let the echo of this whisper guide you back to the one that never left.